It's the most wonderful time of year, everybody. And no, I'm not talking Christmas, although we do have a Christmas special on this box set. It is another Big Finish box set with Christopher Eccleston reprising his role as the Ninth Doctor. This is box set Series 2, Volume 2, Into the Stars, which sees the Ninth Doctor, played once again by Christopher Eccleston, travelling throughout time and space, and this box set is focused around aliens that he encounters in the far-off future and also across the vast reaches of space. These are 3 stories. We've got Salvation 9 by Timothy X. Attack, we've got Last of the Zeta Scene by James Kettle, and we've got Break the Ice by Tim Foley. We're going to be taking these one at a time. Let's start with Salvation 9 first. This is, as you can do with these expanded universe stories with older Doctors, is that you can actually pair them up with villains and characters that they never got the chance to encounter on screen proper. This is the Ninth Doctor meeting the Sontarans, or so you think, because the Sontarans that the Doctor encounters in this story are not the warmongering evil potato men that you would expect. They're actually a peace-loving tribe on this moon that is about to be invaded. So Salvation 9 is the name of this moon where Sontarans landed thousands of years ago, and a bunch of warships have arrived at the moon in order to kill all of the Sontarans. The Doctor lands on the moon only to discover that the Sontarans are not what they seem. Let's play a quick clip from Salvation 9.
Wait, why haven't you killed me?
I don't know. I don't think I want to. I like your jacket. Is it made of animal?
You don't have a... You're not carrying... You're not armed.
I have arms, just like you. Ah, I see you have your hands in the air. Should I put mine in the air too? I'll put mine in the air. This seems like fun.
Not entirely sure what's going on here. Is it Trooper? Commander?
No, my name is Lobs. I live here. What's your name?
I'm the Doctor.
Pleased to meet you, the Doctor.
Don't mean to be rude, but what are you?
I am a Niner.
Niner. Named after Salvation 9.
I don't know what that is. But we are Niners and we inhabit this forest.
Wait. We? There's more. Like you.
Gaznak, over here. Come and meet the Doctor. Gaznak, we've got our hands in the air and we're having a magnificent time. Would you like to join us?
No, I will not. You look like absolute fools.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
So, someone in the chat just asked, are there any Big Finish star writers who you think should jump into the series reel? And Timothy X. Attack, who wrote this story, Salvation 9, has also written quite a bit for the War Doctor. He's somebody who I absolutely think should jump into the new series proper. He's one of my favourite Big Finish writers. But anyway, so Salvation 9 has the Ninth Doctor trying to broker some sort of peace between the humans who are ready to invade and destroy everything on this moon, and the Sontarans who, through some complicated stuff that I'm not quite ready to get into because there's a lot of convoluted stuff, and there's also like some of it's a bit of a spoiler as well. Through the Sontarans have sort of devolved into a case like they've forgotten their own ancestry and their primal instincts to be soldiers, and as a result they are now not necessarily like peace loving, but they don't know what war is. They're now farmers. They do not recognize their probic vents as things that they conventionally are, and they grow fruit. And yeah, it's a really interesting subversion, and I think only a writer as good and as bold as Timothy X. Attack would be able to make female Sontarans into something that seems really, really fun and credible. So Salvation 9 is a really strong way to start the box set Into the Stars. It's easily my favourite of the 3, and while I think that the Series 2 of the Ninth Doctor Adventures on Big Finish has been a little bit of a downgrade from Series 1 in my opinion, there is still consistently one story on each box set that knocks it out the park. For the last one, it was Auld Lang Syne. For this one, it's Salvation 9. That rhymes. And Salvation 9 is absolutely a terrific listen. It's a lot of fun, but it also has quite a lot of pathos about it, where you get this idea of what can you do to atone or come to terms with the sins of your ancestors or the sins of your predecessors. I think it asks some really interesting questions and deals with them in really interesting and complex ways. And there's also, it's just a really good crowd pleaser as well. Timothy X Attack, in the behind the scenes, he cited he cited Seven Samurai as the inspiration for the initial jumping on point for the story, where it would have been a group of people who were under siege from the Sontarans, and then he started subverting the expectations, and that's how we got to Salvation 9. So with the story, it is just a great crowd pleaser where it's able to ask those big questions but deliver on some really great fun and some really great spectacle. There's a terrific set piece where the Ninth Doctor and two of his new Sontaran friends, his Niners, go onto a battlefield in order to retrieve an actual Sontaran commander, and how Howard Carter's music kicks in as they're running across this battlefield. It's nothing short of epic and astonishingly well put together. It's really fun. It asks some big questions. It is honestly a home run story and one of my favorite actual single standalone stories or discs, or like Big Finish discs, of 2022 so far. It's up there with Rewind, it's up there with Auld Lang Syne. It's absolutely terrific stuff. That's not to say that the other stories of the box set are, aren't up to the task of following it, but Salvation 9 is a hard act to follow. So Last of the Zeta Scene by James Kettle is the follow-up story where the Ninth Doctor finds himself on the Stage 3 spaceport, and there's this creature called the Zeta Scene, which is this like massive pig, this massive boar type creature. It's the last of its kind, so the Ninth Doctor is naturally quite sympathetic towards it, but the only way to win it is to engage in a game with the rich elite of the spaceport, one of whom is actually played by Vicky actress, as in Vicky from the classic series, Maureen O'Brien, who has a role here as one of the antagonists. And the Doctor also gets a new companion in the story called Nell, played by Alice Feetham, and he essentially tries to do a subversion of My Fair Lady, where he has to disguise her as a queen, as royalty, in order to take part in this game that only the rich can. What's that, a Ninth Doctor Big Finish story that deals with class consciousness? Oh, surely you jest. That's not something that Big Finish and Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor haven't done before. Let's play a quick clip from Last of the Zeta Scene.
Why are you buying me all this stuff? I mean, I'm grateful, but I don't want to give you the wrong idea.
You'll need it if you're going to pass.
Pass what?
Pass as an alien queen, dummy.
Oh, conkers.
You've got to be in it to win it. We need to get in that game. There's a prize worth fighting for.
But they'll be able to tell. I don't know the things queens know.
Oh, that's all right. Queens don't know anything. They just get away with it because they're queens. If in doubt, just act haughty.
This is a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing.
They'll see through it.
If they're looking. I reckon this lot won't be looking any further than the end of their bank balances, which means we have an opportunity.
We? When did it become we?
I don't know. I quite like the sound of we, don't you?
Yeah. We's all right.
Also quite common with Christopher Eccleston is slagging off the monarchy, slagging off the royal families. That was so in character for Christopher Eccleston there as well, especially if you've been following his Instagram. Parasite in chief, that's all I'll say. But so Last of the Zeta Scene is a story of two halves. The first half of it is that My Fair Lady angle, where you've got the Ninth Doctor and Nell trying to infiltrate this rich, aristocratic and wealthy group in order to play this game, in order to get this creature its freedom. But then the second half is when it becomes a bit more bog standard, a bit more conventional, and I do think that that second half is where Last of the Zeta Scene it loses its spark. I think it's a fine conclusion, but it's basically I know exactly what's going to happen. I know who the main antagonist is now. I know the plot twists and the twists and turns and everything it's going to take. I kind of wish that it had maybe stuck with that My Fair Lady approach, because it was a really fun dynamic. It's not really a situation that we've seen the Ninth Doctor in before, with the exception of, maybe trying to dress up Rose appropriately in The Unquiet Dead. Something like that over the span of a 45-minute Big Finish play would be maybe a bit more subversive and maybe be just a bit more entertaining than a bog standard, almost like base under siege story, which is what happens in the second half of Last of the Zeta Scene. I don't want to lambast it too much. It's a good story. It's a decent one, but it does also kind of feel like because it just goes into the bog standard territory, it kind of means that the Ninth Doctor is almost like running in place as a character in these box sets. That's a little bit disappointing and a little bit unfortunate. And also, Maureen O'Brien is a lot of fun. However, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew that it was Maureen O'Brien because of the publicity they did for it, because of the interviews she does as well, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have really known it was her. It feels a little bit stunt casty. She does a good job in the role, but yeah, it felt like it was a story that started with some really great promise, and there's always the subtext there of the Ninth Doctor trying to help the last of another species. You still would get that without turning it into a bog standard base under siege story in the second half. That's kind of my main issue with it. But as for the last story, we've got Break the Ice by Tim Foley, where the Ninth Doctor is on a space station where they're experimenting with cryogenics, basically freezing people for space travel. It's a form of suspended animation. However, one of the crew members goes into the suspended animation chamber, goes at a temperature at absolute zero, comes out again, and is still apparently alive, even though that is something human beings are just not meant to do. And the reason for that is because something else woke up with him, and that is Jack Frost. You'll see this horny lad on the cover of Into the Stars here. That's meant to be Jack Frost. Now, I think this story is a bit like Station to Station, which was in the last Ninth Doctor box set, where you've got Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor facing off against essentially a legend, a fairy tale. For that one, it was the Griminy Gru, and for this one, it's now Jack Frost. But the main vibes I got, apart from Station to Station, was, believe it or not, the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, and not just because there's a scene where the Doctor has to communicate with this otherworldly, godlike figure through the other side of a communications monitor. Let's play a quick clip.
I'm warning you for the last time.
Why should I turn my attention on you? Ooh, maybe I should. You're not human, are you? What are you?
Someone who knows who you are.
Why? Who am I?
Once you let those people go...
Tell me who I am.
On Rebos, you're called the Bitter King. On Cacophony, the Cold Bringer. You go by many names, but since we're nearest to Earth, I ought to call you Jack Frost.
I haven't heard that name in a long, long time.
The last of the Winter Gods.
Am I so very late to the party? My dynasty awaits.
You don't want to be in this dimension. You lot never do. Way too warm.
Then we ought to do something about that.
I don't know if it's a coincidence, but this and Station to Station, pairing up the Ninth Doctor with some sort of like immortal godlike creature of fairy tale and myth, it's a vibe and it's an energy that I can really get behind with the Ninth Doctor. I liked both of those stories because both for very different reasons. If you recognised the voice of Jack Frost, that was Pip Torrens, who was in Human Nature and the Family of Blood as the headmaster. He's also done some other stuff for Big Finish as well, but that was Pip Torrens, who you'll know from the revived series, from Series 3 specifically. So, so Break the Ice is, once again, a Base Under Siege story, but it feels a bit grander than that because of the subject matter, because you are dealing with a sub-zero temperature creature. I think this was a really strong story. On any lesser box set, this would be like the best one on it, but this is a box set with Salvation 9. But Break the Ice, I really liked the directions that they went with it. How you do have this creature, which it doesn't know at the time, but it will do. It does know. It doesn't know that it's the last of its kind. It's searching for its brethren. It's like eternal, like brothers. And the Ninth Doctor kind of has to break the news to it at some point. And the confrontation between the two is really, really strong. Eccleston does terrific work. It's also a Christmas special, because this is technically set at Christmas, and it has a really lovely and heartwarming ending, which is quite ironic considering the circumstances. But the idea of this Doctor after the Time War, where you've got all of these creatures that are running loose, like the Griminy Gru, like Jack Frost, because there's now no one kind of in charge of overseeing the natural order of the universe. It's actually a really interesting way to take a post-Time War Doctor. It's only something you can really do in the expanded universe with the Ninth Doctor, and arguably maybe the 10th Doctor as well. It's one hell of a vibe, and I really think that that's a really interesting way forward to take these box sets in. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if this is something that Big Finish are actually trying to push these box sets in that direction. Either way, I think it's a really natural extension of the Ninth Doctor, especially if you're not going to be giving him any companions. The companion surrogate in this story as well is Lenny Fisk, played by Thalisa Texiera, and I'm probably butchered that name, I apologise. She was a really good companion surrogate character, somebody who, despite the job, does have a fear of wide open spaces. However, the reason that she's on this mission and trying to harness this technology and improve space travel, it was a really nice way to ground the story, to make it a much more human story, to deliver that lovely, heartwarming Christmas ending. Break the Ice, really cool, at moments frequently chilling, haha, but I think that in terms of the actual box set itself, Salvation 9 is the clear head and shoulders standout here. It's not just a great Sontaran story, but it's just a great piece of Doctor Who subversive storytelling, where you take the audience's expectations of the Sontarans, and it is able to give us the balance of the jokey Sontarans that we get in the Moffat era with Strax, but also the much more serious ones that you might have enjoyed with Chris Chibnall or maybe the classic series. It's a great balance. You get literally both of them. I think that's terrific. So, Into the Stars, as a box set overall, I think it is probably on par with Back to Earth. I don't know if anything is as good as Auld Lang Syne, but Salvation 9 does cut it very, very close. Once again, we have another really strong Ninth Doctor Big Finish box set, but I do think we are running out of steam for the Ninth Doctor on his own. We are starting to get to the point where you could put almost any other Doctor in these stories, most notably like Last of the Zeta Scene and Break the Ice, with the exception of the post-Time War connection. But I mean, the Ninth Doctor as a character, as that specific incarnation, I do think we need to start bringing in characters like Rose Tyler. I think we need to start connecting those dots now, or at the very least doing something. Maybe what they're doing with the next War Doctor set, where it is maybe one long massive story, kind of like Ravagers. That was the first Ninth Doctor box set. Either do one big story or give him an actual companion. And I think the companion to give him is Rose. And Billie Piper is doing stuff for Big Finish. She's got the Dimension Canon set coming out in a month or so. So, they have been recording for Big Finish this year. Maybe not together. I don't know, I'm trying to put two and two together here, but still, Into the Stars is another really strong Ninth Doctor Big Finish set. Eccleston is great as always, Sontarans are great, the Jack Frost was great. This is a really strong box set. I really dug it.